That was one heck of a game, man. I left early because I had to go pick up my wife from the airport. Left right after Kyren scored his second touchdown, so I paused the game, got her, came back, just finished that game, and dude, that was a game. I mean, seriously, there's so many takeaways from here tonight. I just want to say this for sure. The 49ers, man, those guys fight. I mean, really, that was like an impressive win because the Rams did not play a bad game. I mean, the Rams played a really good football game, and it was just that the 49ers just looked like they wanted it really, really bad tonight. And it was a really well-coached game by Kyle Shanahan. It was a really well-played and executed game by someone who actually needs respect as being the best backup quarterback in the NFL with Mac Jones, and someone who easily could be on the Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield trajectory after this year. I mean, this was a legitimate gut performance from the 49ers. And man, I got to tell you, I am so impressed. And from a fantasy perspective, obviously there's going to be a lot to cover. There's going to be some yahoos who owe me an apology as well. When it comes to Kendrick Bourne, I can tell you that. But let's go ahead and start out with the 49ers side of the ball. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support if you appreciate these post-game recaps as well. So we'll get into the 49ers side. And listen, Mac Jones, I just got done saying, this guy was a fighter tonight. I mean, he led the team, I think, in just grit. I mean, I don't want to say that because it makes me sound like nobody else had grit. I mean, Kyle Shanahan clearly had grit. Robert Saleh clearly had grit. You know, Fred Warner, the defense, everybody looked really good, but Mac Jones stood in that pocket. He took hit after hit after hit. And after that one, I think it was in the third quarter, I didn't think he was going to get up after he got hit on I don't think it was a sack, but it was like a late hit on the quarterback. And he got pounded. I mean, just pummeled into the ground. And he just grabbed right at that leg that he was heavily braced with already. And up to that point, Mac Jones had a really good night. So, you know, he was already outperforming my expectations on this one. Even when he would have went out, if he wouldn't have come back. Like, I think by that time he had like 200 plus yards and 2 touchdowns already. So he was already looking really good. And from a fantasy perspective, for him to come back into that game, throw 350 yards basically and 2 touchdowns, like that was a superior night. I mean, nobody asked me, but if people would have asked me, I would have said, don't start Mac Jones. Why would you start Mac Jones? I mean, that just doesn't seem like a smart move on a short week versus the Rams when they have no weapons. But I would have been severely wrong. I mean, Mac Jones is going to end up being like a top 10 quarterback this play without question. Could very easily be a top 5 performance. Very impressive performance by Mac Jones. I was super impressed. And listen, you know, I was texting a buddy this earlier tonight. Mac Jones is really good, like low-key really good. And he texted me back and said he should be the Jaguars starting quarterback. Now, obviously, that wouldn't happen because of how much the Jags are paying Trevor Lawrence, but he's not wrong. I mean, he is better than Mac Jones, or he's better than Trevor Lawrence. And it makes me think of like all the times last year where Mac Jones stepped in and Brian Thomas Jr. had his best performances with Mac Jones. So Mac Jones is going to get another starting opportunity. Like, I feel pretty confident at this point in that. Of course, they're not going to have him start over Brock Purdy with the amount of money that they just gave Brock Purdy. I just think that, you know, realistically, I don't know how long he's going to step in, but you don't need to look at any 49er wide receiver or pass catcher in general sideways when Mac Jones is out there, because Mac Jones will provide. I mean, he's proven it time and time and time again. He's already proven it in 3 games this year. 3 different times he's proven it. So hats off, man. I mean, that was fantastic. Fantastic, man. So very impressive by Mac Jones. He'll be a top 10 play this week. And then we go down to the running backs, and obviously Christian McCaffrey did Christian McCaffrey things, right? I mean, that's the thing is, like, I told people before the game, there's just, like, you know exactly what you're going to get. I mean, if you look at what he's done from an efficiency standpoint this year, you're not going to get a great performance on the ground, and you didn't get that. You got 22 carries for 57 yards, and he still not had a rushing touchdown this year. But why McCaffrey is so good in fantasy still off that little efficiency is because of the passing game. 8 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey is, at this point in the league, probably the best receiving back. Like Kamara, not doing as much this year. Maybe he's still really good, but we haven't seen it as much. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, is very good. Bijan Robinson has really evolved in that. I think he's always been good, but he's really coming into that and dominating into that, role as a back. Christian McCaffrey, man, if you just watch him run routes, like it's very similar to a slot wide receiver. I mean, he had a route at one point tonight. He came on motion and took out, I don't think it was a linebacker, but he took on a slot corner, a nickel back, and he totally, broke this guy's ankles almost because of his route. And Christian McCaffrey, that is why he's still dominant in fantasy. We are probably not going to see the 2019 or even 2023 version of McCaffrey this year because he's just not like looking as dominant running the ball this year. But what we're going to see and why Christian McCaffrey is going to continue to average 20 points a game in fantasy football is because of that receiving yard number. 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. It's so not hard to expect. He is so integral to Kyle Shanahan's game plan on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter. He will force feed him 25-plus opportunities on a per-game basis. And that's why he is still a top 3 running back in fantasy. Brian Robinson Jr. had a couple of irrelevant carries tonight. But here we go. So there's a man named Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Jason Bourne. Because he walks amongst the shadows. And I came on this week to my top 30 wide receiver rankings, and I ranked Kendrick Bourne inside that top 30. And, of course, like there always is, it reminds me of when I didn't put T. Higgins in my top 30 in week 1. I ended up being right, but I got called out by a lot of yahoos. And, of course, when I put Kendrick Bourne in there, somebody has the gall to come out and say, oh, yeah, so he's putting him over A.J. Brown. I know who I'm not trusting. And, of course, they start dancing around because they get one like on the comment. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a good one, right? Well, this is where I come in and say, are you going to apologize, Yahoo? That's why you're a Yahoo and nobody knows who the hell you are. Because, honestly, it was impossible for him to not have a good night. I'm not even tooting my own horn because I said he was some good player. I mean, he did look good tonight, but just from an opportunity perspective, like, he was always going to work tonight because Kendrick Bourne was left all alone. And I got to tell you, like, I'm mad at myself right now because I picked him up in a dynasty league where I had both Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall on that same team. I picked him up yesterday, and I thought I had him in my starting lineup, and I didn't. So at one point during the game, I was like, oh, dude, Kendrick Bourne's crushing it for me. Like, why have I not gotten an alert that he's like, got a 25-yard catch or something like that? Because Sleeper usually does that. Sleeper has like 25-plus yard alerts, even if they don't get in the end zone. And so I looked, and he's on my bench. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so brutal, man. That just goes to show you, like, I spend way more time, like, managing y'all's teams than my own. So, like, I definitely put in a lot of time into what I'm telling you guys for sure. And I'm glad for people who did start Kendrick Bourne. Because I did say to a lot of people, like, Kendrick Bourne is a good play tonight. And no, I wasn't going to start him over Deebo Samuel or anything like that. But people asked me, like, DeMarcus Robinson or Kendrick Bourne. I kept saying Kendrick Bourne because, there was something that, like, I got reminded of tonight. I think it was Kirk Herbstreit who was talking about, how Kendrick Bourne had his best season in New England when Mac Jones was a rookie. And I completely forgot that they played together. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, they did play together. So I didn't even factor in the chemistry that was built in. Well, my whole point was that Kendrick Bourne is more of a possession receiver than DeMarcus Robinson. DeMarcus Robinson is really more of a big play threat, whereas Kendrick Bourne has that prototypical body type, and he's just more of a prototypical X receiver that is going to go over the middle and get a lot of possession receiver throws on the sidelines, over the middle. He's just more versatile than a guy like DeMarcus Robinson. So props to people who played Kendrick Bourne. That took some stones for sure, but it was never not going to work because they have a good quarterback and a really good play caller with Kyle Shanahan. And a great play designer with Kyle Shanahan, and Kendrick Bourne was the last man standing besides Christian McCaffrey. So Kendrick Bourne, I'm waiting for an apology from one particular Yahoo in particular. He probably won't be back, I'm sure, because, why would you? But I think that Kendrick Bourne was a great play for those who played him tonight, and congratulations. Jake Tonjes, I did tell people, I spent a lot of tonight before the live stream but talking about Jake Tonjes. There was a lot of Tonjes questions, and people were asking me, Tonjes or Jake Ferguson, Tonjes or Jawan Johnson, Tonjes or Hunter Henry, Tonjes or Tucker Kraft. Or not Tucker Kraft. There was a lot of questions tonight. So I said it's very situational. You could see where he's at in my rankings if you're a premium subscriber on FS Roundup. And by the way, I just wanted to address, someone asked me a question on my wide receiver videos, why I never put out quarterback and tight end rankings. I can honestly just tell you, I just don't have time to do it. I'm way too swamped with already putting out tons of content, and also on top of that, getting the website going as well. So in order for me to put out more videos like quarterback and tight end rankings, I need more support from you guys, to be completely honest with you. That's just me being straight up. But the reality being is that Jake Tonjes, I had him well ranked in my rankings. And so I was telling certain people, play Jake Tonjes tonight with confidence in your particular situation. Like Brenton Strange, yes, play him over Brenton Strange. And the moment that he got in on that first possession where the 49ers drove right down the field on the Rams in that first possession, and he scored, and I was like, oh, I feel so much better. Because you take away the rest of the 6 catches that he had, and it was already going to be a better week than a lot of those other tight ends. Because getting in the end zone as a tight end is big time. I mean, that's a huge, huge advantage. And so just adding 6 more catches for 41 total yards on top of that, if you played him in a full PPR, you're in good shape. I mean, that is 11, 17 points right there in a full PPR format. So congratulations if you played Jake Tonjes as well. I do think that he was well ranked in my rankings, but clearly it's going to be an under ranking because of his performance tonight. Getting in the end zone changes the game for a tight end in fantasy. Alias, I see your super chat. I appreciate it. I will address super chats at the end of this breakdown. Demarcus Robinson, like I said, he was just at a disadvantage compared to Kendrick Bourne for multiple reasons. Number one, obviously the fact that he doesn't have the chemistry that Kendrick Bourne does with Mac Jones. That chemistry is just not built in with Demarcus Robinson. And again, I didn't even realize that until Kirk Herbstreit said it at some point during the evening. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. They did play together, didn't they? And he did have his best year with New England that year. So it all added up after I heard that. But before that, I did not know. So the chemistry factor wasn't there with Demarcus Robinson like it was with Kendrick Bourne. And additionally, again, he's not a possession receiver like Kendrick Bourne is. And that's why I always favored Bourne in this matchup over Demarcus Robinson, because Robinson is more of a big play threat. And Mac Jones is good, but he's not good enough to be launching the ball down the field. Brock Purdy doesn't have exactly the strongest arm, but it's stronger than Mac Jones is probably. And I think that Demarcus Robinson probably is better served with Brock Purdy in particular than he is with Mac Jones. So, I mean, I think he'll be solid if receivers in San Francisco continue to miss time. But overall, probably not the best play until Brock Purdy gets back. That's pretty much it. The last thing I'll say about Kendrick Bourne, I've seen a couple people, and Alias, your super chat asks, should you put priority on Bourne over Bouty on the waiver wire? Listen, as great as this was tonight, and it was really cool to see Kendrick Bourne do this work tonight, it's not really sustainable because Juwan Jennings will be back and Ricky Pearsall will be back. And when they come back, I mean, Kendrick Bourne's his role like he just had, probably not going to last. Now, I will say this, is there a chance that he becomes an involved wide receiver 3? Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is very, very possible. But you also can't forget that George Kittle is going to come back too. So, you get those guys and then Brandon Ayuk at some point, probably later in the season. But, there's too many things and too many moving parts and too many better pieces that will come back over Bouty and immediately take his role. Like, this is probably not something we'll see again with Kendrick Bourne unless Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings miss more time. But even if just one of them comes back, they'll immediately take precedent over Kendrick Bourne. So, like, I don't think of him as that big of a priority yet. They've got 10 days until their next game. It's a mini bye week, so I would probably not put as much priority on him as I would with Bouty, because with Kayshon Boutte, I still see, like, again, bottom line metrics on FS Roundup will prove to you that Kendrick Bourne is not getting the snaps and the routes run on a regular basis like Kayshon Boutte is. So, fun night for Kendrick Bourne, but not really sustainable. Now let's go to the Rams side because they had excellent fantasy nights too. Matt Stafford, what a game. I mean, Matt Stafford, this one's a little bit of a bummer because I did say to a lot of people, like, I probably am not leaning towards playing Matt Stafford over guys like Bo Nix. I had him decently ranked. I think he was my quarterback 15 on the week. So I knew it could be a good night, but I will tell you this, like, I said this in the kicker rankings today alone. I did see this as more of a field goal game. Like, I did. I did not see this amount of upside for fantasy options in this matchup like we got. And pleasantly surprised, of course, but, like, this was a little bit of a shock to me because I thought it was going to be more of a defensive matchup because that's usually how these NFC West matchups go. But it just goes to show, like, on a short week, not only are things unpredictable, but if they were predictable, it's actually that defenses don't do as well. Because the Rams defense was one that I had slotted pretty well in my rankings as well. Well, they're not going to be a very good play this week. So it's really hard to predict, like, defenses on Thursday nights and how they're going to stack up because the 49ers have a good defense too. But Stafford threw all over them. Almost 400 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns tonight. Like, he was excellent. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. I hope people did play him, though. Like, I really do hope that. So, if you played Stafford, congratulations. But I will tell you this, like, Stafford has now had 2 really good games in fantasy. And we've gotten really used to the idea of Stafford not being a good fantasy quarterback for a couple of years now with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm kind of wondering if we're getting back to a point where he is good. Honestly, like, he has done well over the past 2 out of the 5 games. And that's not enough, but, like, it is something. It is something. So, like, keep an eye on this one because I could see this one becoming, like, Stafford becomes a weekly stream. Or if you really want to play, like, if you really want to go shoot for a better option as a wide receiver or a quarter or a running back, like, and if you have, like, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes or, you know, Josh Allen, Lamar, like, one of these top tier quarterbacks, you could sell one of them off in theory for a better upgrade at running back or wide receiver. And just roll with Stafford. I mean, I'm not there yet. I don't want to sound like I'm there right now, but, like, kind of feels like we're trending in that direction a little bit. Like, Stafford has put up 2 really good performances in fantasy. So, definitely one to keep an eye on. Kyren Williams, I had a lot of questions about... I had a lot of questions come in about Kyren Williams over the week of, like, hey, you know, it's a little concerning. And I don't know what's going on, but, like, Kyren Williams doesn't feel like a must-start lock to me. And I kept telling people, man, he is. Like, I get it. Kyren Williams has not done well in fantasy for the majority of the season. He's like Stafford. Like, he's had 2 really good games now and 3 okay-ish games in fantasy. And Kyren comes out tonight, rushed 14 carries for 65 yards, 4.6 a carry, so he's still efficient on the ground. And that was the reason right there that I said that he is a start, like, he is a must-start lock to me still, because the volume is there. And Blake Corum tonight, like, he had 1 carry, and then he fumbled a pitch to him, and that was the end of that. So, like, not that, like, obviously we may have seen more Blake Corum had he not fumbled that ball, but, like, the bottom line being that Kyren Williams is still way too involved for him to not be a must start. He's on a good offense. This is an offense that you want pieces on, and Kyren's getting the volume. Like, this is not a Chase Brown situation in Cincinnati where it's like bad offense, he's getting volume, and it's not working. Two of those were true for Kyren, I guess. Volume was there, but it's not working. But the reason tonight that I said he's must start is for the reason he went off, which is he is involved in the passing game as well. Now, this was a little bit of an outlier game. He had 8 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. So, like, he definitely performed much better in the passing game than he had all season long. That's not something that you could expect moving forward. Like, he was, like, legitimately running routes out of the slot. That is not something typically you see over, in Los Angeles. So, a little bit of a mysterious performance from Kyren, I think, because I had not seen him that involved in the passing game this year. But, I mean, there's multiple reasons why I said that he's still a must start. And one of those was because the volume was there. Like, even though he hasn't done this in the passing game, he has gotten plenty of opportunities through the air. So it's not going away, but it won't be that good. So Kyren's not all of a sudden like a top tier RB1 in fantasy, but he is still a very good RB2 because he always was a good RB2 in fantasy. Davante Adams ended up getting more receiving yards somehow than Puka Nacua, who was just Puka Nacua tonight. But Davante Adams, like, there was a big stretch in the game where he did nothing. I mean, he had been targeted like twice, maybe, or 3 times, maybe, through like the first 4 quarters, it felt like. And then he really turned it up. It was kind of like Marvin. No, I'm going to take that back. It was not like a Marvin performance because Marvin was horrific last week for 3 quarters, and Davante was not horrific. It just wasn't, there wasn't any involvement. So I'm going to take that one back because that is not true. Davante was good on basically every look. Like, he dropped 1 pass, but I was telling my wife, she was home at that point. I was like, yeah, he could have caught that, but like, it was a tough catch. The one where Stafford airmailed it for him. But Davante got up there and he had his hands on it. It went through his hands. Tougher catch, but catchable. And sometimes, like, with a guy like Davante Adams, I would expect him to come down with that kind of catch. So it could have been an even better night for Davante. And it wasn't the best fantasy night. Like, in a half PPR format, he's not going to break the bank for you this week. Full PPR, he did better. But realistically, like, Davante Adams still is a guy that I would consider mostly a must start moving forward. Because, again, this offense with Stafford is clicking right now in the air. And they're protecting him. That's a huge thing right now, is that Stafford isn't getting hit that much. So I've been very impressed watching Matt Stafford this year, and he's just getting the ball to his dominant pass catchers. So I would say Davante Adams remains the best wide receiver 2 on an NFL team for fantasy football. And again, like I said, it's kind of mind-blowing the amount of work that Puka got, and Davante still had more yards than him. Now, it was by 3 yards, so it wasn't like that many, but like, Puka is just unique because he's having this like Triple Crown-esque season, but the touchdowns have always been the problem. Now, they definitely force-fed him one tonight. Like, the touchdown that Puka got, Davante could have easily run that as well. So they wanted Puka to get that touchdown. Like, that was like right at the goal line. It was a super quick slant. Like, Davante was right there with him, and he basically like just took a couple steps up to bring his corner back a little bit, like he was going to run a fade route in the back of the end zone, and then Puka just cut right underneath him, and the ball was right there on time. So, like, great execution on that play, but that wasn't like some big play that Puka made that Davante couldn't have made. Like, Puka, where he gets separated is his yards after catch ability, and we saw some of that tonight, but he's also just a superior target hog. Like, Puka Nacua, I've been saying this for weeks now, has the feel of a league-winning wide receiver. And this is not a foreign concept to Matt Stafford. Like, he turned Cooper Kupp into the Triple Crown winner a couple years back. Like, not that long ago. I feel like this is a very similar vibe. And he's not the touchdown guy that Cooper Kupp was, but I got to tell you, man, like, I think that he is going to lead the team, and he's going to lead the NFL in catches and receiving yards if he can stay fully healthy. I mean, the volume he sees on a weekly basis is just absolutely out of this world. Tutu Atwell continues to be a big play threat. We're not at the point where I would say he's like someone to watch. Maybe keep an eye on him, but we're not at that point yet where I'm like, yeah, go take him off waivers. Like, he's still not that involved, and he won't be, because Devontae and Puka are going to dominate the target share in that offense. I mean, there's a reason that their tight ends are not involved. I mean, Davis Allen tonight had 2 catches for 24 yards. Like, their tight ends are never going to be that involved in this offense unless it's like a random play. And that's a big reason why, like, Tutu Atwell is still not someone that I would say is a good pickup in fantasy right now. I would say that he's a guy to keep an eye on for sure because he is a big play threat. But, I mean, the volume just isn't there consistently. I mean, he's had 2 big plays back-to-back weeks. Tonight put them in range to go kick a field goal. So Tutu Atwell, definitely a really good number 3 for this team, but nothing more than that. And when you're on a team with those 2 types of wide receivers, you're just never going to have that big a fantasy upside. Jordan Whittington had 2 catches for 33 yards. That doesn't mean much. Again, Davis Allen, 2 catches for 24 yards. And the last thing I'll touch on here is, man, for the most part, Josh McCarty of the Rams, that kicker, total disaster tonight. Nobody cared. I mean, really, like, he missed 2 kicks in that game, and he hit the big one, which was to send them to overtime. But, I mean, it's not going to matter for fantasy football because he got you negative 2 points before that. So he basically has 2 points tonight in fantasy football. So embarrassment for me putting him inside my top 12. I thought it was going to be a much better kicking game than it was. And I think there was opportunities again, but like he just didn't come through. And I had never seen him miss that many. So maybe the pressure got to him tonight. But bad call from the kicker perspective for me. Sorry to people who played Josh McCarty because of my advice. But that's it for the breakdown. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support, and let's get into the couple super chats that I got. Alias, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Relating to my question earlier today, should I put priority on Bourne over Bouty? Yeah, as I said earlier, if you missed it, I'll recap for you, which was that I would still personally prioritize Bouty because when you look at bottom line metrics again on FS Roundup, you'll see that Kayshon Boutte is the wide receiver 1 over there. Like, yes, not by targets on a weekly basis, but bottom line metrics indicate that he's still involved very heavily. He's right up there with Stephon Diggs last week, and outside of last week, he's been the wide receiver 1 in snap counts and routes run. So people call me crazy, but I'm still willing to roster him over Bourne because Bourne is more likely to go back to a more reserve role when Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings come back. But then again, there's George Kittle, who probably comes back in week 6. Then you've got Brandon Ayuk at some point. Like, he's going to go back. They didn't have this guy, like, in their offseason plans necessarily. I mean, it was great. It was a great night. I am glad people played him off of my advice, but it's not going to last. So I would say I'd definitely still prioritize Boutte over Bourne. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian, my man, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Good to see you. Hey, brother, hope everything's doing well with you as well. Pick one running back for one Mason, Rico Dowdle if Chuba doesn't play, and I had the Rams as my defensive play. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. Yeah, again, that's definitely on me. I mean, I definitely said they were a good play tonight, and definitely lesson learned as far as I just got to stay away from these defenses on Thursday night, man. Like, it's just too unpredictable on Thursday night because, in theory, the matchup sounds great still in my head, but, like, obviously Mac Jones looked really good with minimal weapons. The running back pick, Mason or Rico Dowdle. So, I said it earlier tonight on my live stream before the game. I don't know if you were here, but if Chuba doesn't play, then Rico, I find it hard to believe without ranking it in my head right now that Rico Dowdle would not be inside the top 30. It's hard to believe that. I think he probably would be inside the top 30 because the matchup is good. Against the Miami Dolphins, I do like that matchup. I will say my initial thought, if Rico Dowdle is the guy this week and Chuba doesn't go, I will say my initial thought on this is that I think we could see Trevor Etienne. Not more than Rico, but I think we could see some, just based on some of the efficiency metrics right here. And I get it, last week was a blowout and everything like that, but like it wouldn't shock me if we saw some Etienne. Like all of these running backs this week who are missing the starters, I don't think there's one bell cow in there. So I think Rico falls into that same type of area, which makes me a little nervous and hesitant to play him. So when it comes to Jordan Mason, like yes, Xavier Scott was involved last week for the Minnesota Vikings, but I mean Jordan Mason is still clearly the lead back in the backfield, and he just didn't get in the end zone last week. You know, Xavier Scott was involved in the pass, which he will continue to be, but when it comes to a rushing perspective, I mean Jordan Mason still is a good player and someone that I would probably just put more faith behind than Rico Dowdle. So I will go with Jordan Mason personally. Appreciate the super chat. And Tyler Sperry will end it off right here. Appreciate the super chat. Good to see you in here tonight. People need to realize Blake Corum is nothing. Yes, Kyren fumbled, but Corum fumbled a handoff. Yeah, I agree. Blake Corum is somebody that I think that has always been overhyped. I mean, we go back to last year, right? And people thought he was like gonna people thought he was gonna like take over Kyren's workload last year. Like, think of how ridiculous that sounds now. And that crowd has like made their way back this year watching Blake Corum get more involved on a weekly basis, and it's like it literally makes no sense. Like, they just paid Kyren Williams all that money. He's clearly a better player, and sure, Kyren's got a fumble issue, but I mean Blake Corum, to your point, literally fumbled a pitch to him. So like, embarrassing for Blake Corum, and that's the reason ultimately he didn't play more tonight. But like, realistically, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I think that Blake Corum stuff is really overblown, and for that reason, I think Kyren Williams is. It's just weird, man. Like, because we went from years ago, Kyren Williams being the new thing, to people are like, I feel like I'm kind of done with him, and it's like, dude, this guy is still really good. Like, for where you've been valuing, people have been valuing him at in drafts, and still like heading into the season, like, you know, we're 5 weeks deep now, and people still don't see Kyren Williams that favorably. And I agree with you. I think that he's a pretty good player. Really, really good top tier RB2 in fantasy football. Appreciate the super chat. All right, so we'll end it there for tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to share your support. And again, all these numbers we just went through, completely free on FS Roundup. And if you want to make a start sit poll and get live updates from the community, you could do that on FS Roundup as well, completely free. Go vote on other people's, help everybody else out, man, because they'll help you out too with your start sit decisions if you help them with theirs. So go on there, make some polls, get my full rankings behind the premium subscription, get access to the waiver tool with that as well. You can get a team breakdown from me. You've got to email me. And I've got a backlog, so just be patient with them. But love you guys, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Appreciate it.